So the power that Alaafin is claiming now, that power is gone since 1790.
So the Ooni is supposed to be the supreme.
Ooni is the supreme traditional ruler in Yoruba land.
You heard that clown. I don't know who he is. I don't care. I think he was introduced as a professor. I watched the full interview. But if you see the full interview as I did, you will agree with me that that man is a licensed fool. This is not my regular type of video. So this video is obviously done impromptu. Right? And this, I want to quickly say a thing or two about this saga between the Ooni of Ife and His Royal Majesty Alaafin of Oyo, Kabiyesi. You know, since all of this started, I decided not to say anything because, first of all, I do not consider it as my problem, not directly. Though indirectly it concerns me as an Edo person and a honest historian. So the fact that this is a great distortion of history concerns me somehow, but I decided not to talk. And the reason being that, you see, we have been out here trying to say the truth, trying to expose Ile-Ife, trying to expose the lies upon which Ile-Ife was founded, and try to expose the truth about the position of the Ooni. And this has earned us very bad names. They have labeled us very bad names. Some Yoruba people come to our comment section, they even come to our inbox. Yoruba people, most of whom, of course, are Ife-centrics, and while others are just general Yoruba people, some of whom might even be from Oyo. They come and say, why do you hate Yoruba people? For the record, I don't have any problem with Yoruba people. I don't hate Yoruba people. Come to even think of it, the Yoruba that I know, the original Yoruba, real Yoruba, are the Oyo people. And Oyo people are my brother. I see them as my brothers. The kingdom was founded by Oromiyan, whom we know as Edo people, as Omononya, the son of Ekaladera, our son, who in turn was the son of our last Ogiso. All right. So I do not have a problem with Yoruba people. The people that I have a problem with are these Ife-centric elements who are trying to distort history by every means. Go and look online. Go and check Wikipedia and see what these people have done. They are trying to write themselves into other people's history of greatness. These are the people we are trying to expose here. So we do not have any problem with Yoruba people. Then secondly, a disclaimer. I'm not here. I will try not to disrespect the Ooni of Ife. Though my sir, with all due disrespect, you deserve some disrespect. To be honest, don't take this as disrespect, but you really deserve some disrespect. Because you have been doing too much, sir. You have been doing way too much. You come on social media, you go everywhere, you distort people's history with impunity. You distort people's history, even the world history. You distort people's history with impunity. Nobody asks questions because you are the Ooni of Ife. Now, aside doing this, you also gather some urchins and sponsor them, allegedly, sponsor them to distort other people's history. I could say this because I've seen you giving some of these people award. That is some sign of encouragement. But that aside, I have been mute about this until this morning. I came across this video. You know, the problem these people have, these Yoruba people, even the other people, I don't want to mention their name, is because the problem they have is that the elders who are supposed to tell the truth, most of the elders, they don't say the truth. So just please listen to or see this video that I saw this morning.
The truth is, whether the Oyo people accept it or not, a son cannot be bigger than his father, not to talk of his grandfather.
Okay.
The claim that Oyo was an empire, that empire was destroyed since 1790. The Fulani warriors destroyed that Oyo empire in 1790. And Oyo became wanderers with no homeland until they got to Agoja. And their shepherd gave them land to dwell in and cultivate. As at that time, the military prowess that they had been transferred to Ibadan. Ibadan became the warlord to the extent that Ibadan at a time determined who was going to be the Alaafin for you. So if you are claiming that military prowess that time, it is actually Ibadan that's supposed to be claiming that right now. So the power that Alaafin is claiming now, that power is gone since 1790.
So the Ooni is supposed to be the supreme.
Ooni is the supreme traditional ruler in Yoruba land.
You heard that clown. I don't know who he is. I don't care. I think he was introduced as a professor. I watched the full interview. But if you see the full interview as I did, you will agree with me that that man is a licensed fool. You know, this is how they get you. This is how they get you. They say that the Ooni of Ife is your father. Why? Because they made you believe that you came, all of you came from Ile-Ife. So we have all of you. This affects us as a people too, as Edo people. The British did all of this, all right? They created Ile-Ife as a duplicate of the original Ife. The original Ife, which the Edo people know as Ohe, in the Niger-Benue confluence. Around the Niger-Benue confluence. In today or present-day Kogi state. That is the original Ife. They made a duplicate here and called this one Ile-Ife. And put Ooni there. Whereas in the original Ife, there is Oonu. So they told you that this is where you come from. Ile-Ife. So, because you believe that you came from this Ile-Ife that was not even in existence when your kingdom was founded, you now see the Ooni of Ife as your father. So this is the trick they use on you. You heard that man there just now. He said, how can a son be bigger than the father? Since when did the Ooni of Ife become anybody's father? No, no, papa. And this is not just peculiar to only Oyo. Even our own people who don't know. Which is why we're trying to tell you the truth. Since when did the Ooni of Ife become anybody's father? But they can say this because they made you believe that you came from Ile-Ife. Now, let's analyze what this man said. This man somehow said or touched on the history of Oyo and also on the history of Ibadan, right? So he said he agrees that Oyo was once an empire and it was very powerful. We have that agreement. But he said in the 18th century that that power, that might passed from Oyo to Ibadan. And he said the people of Oyo, they were wondering as if they were like 100 people. The power passed from Oyo to Ibadan. Great, no problem. I don't want to argue with you. Now you have said something relating to the history of Oyo and Ibadan, but something you failed to do. Being a defendant of the Ile-Ife, how come you did not say anything about Ile-Ife? You did not touch on the history of Ile-Ife. So, Oyo was a great empire, and Ibadan was also powerful at some point. Where was Ile-Ife at this time, sir? Was Ile-Ife in existence? If you say yes, please show us evidence. If it was in existence and it was as relevant, as powerful as you all claim, please show us evidence. They don't exist. They don't exist. And the man even openly said a lie that Ibadan was choosing the Alafin of Oyo. It is not on record, sir. It is not written anywhere. None that I know of. You can also your urchins, this Ife-centric, they can come and show us. Because the record that we have say otherwise. That Ibadan, they at some point, I think in the 20th century, in the 18th century here, 19th century, they imposed an Ooni on the people of Ile-Ife. And the reason they did that is because they wanted the Ooni to act freely, to have the backing of Ibadan. Because Ooni was powerless. Ooni was powerless. You know, when the British did this thing, it took them a lot. It took them a lot to try to impose this on everybody. Starting from the people of Ife, the original people of Ile-Ife, they rejected it. They rejected this position of Ooni. They fought. It is on record that Ile-Ife was governed by 4 set of chiefs, the Mowa and the rest. I don't remember their names. 4 set of chiefs. Even when the British imposed this Ooni on them, after they accepted, the Ooni was just like an action figure. Ooni was and still is an action figure until yesterday. So these 4 chiefs would choose, they handpicked, they single-handedly chose who was to become Ooni. And it is on record that they chose the person to occupy that position of the Ooni based on their own needs. They watch out for those people who or anybody who would have their interest, who would say yes sir to them, who would do anything that they say, who would take instructions from them. It is on record. I'm not the one saying this. That is the position of the Ooni, and he was never a king. He was just a priest. He was just a priest. He had problem with the people of Ile-Ife. They rejected him. So when in history was Ile-Ife ever important or powerful so that you compare the Ooni of Ife with a whole Alaafin of Oyo, a whole Alaafin of Oyo, people who gave you what you have as a Yoruba people, people who earned you the respect that you have. They even gave you a name, a unifying name, Yoruba. You are bringing them down to elevate a priest. The chiefs will handpick who is to become the Ooni. And once the Ooni maybe started to misbehave or was no longer listening to them, wouldn't do their biddings, what do? They eliminate them. They eliminate them. They buy them. Most of the time, by poison, they just poison them and they die. And they unalive them with poison. It is on record. It is on record. It is the British who gradually, they started to back up the Ooni of Ife. They started to back him up. They started to give him power. They were now taking power from these 4 chiefs and elevating him. And it caused a lot of problems. Even the women of Ile-Ife, they revolted. They protested. They went to the gate of Ooni. They wanted to eat him raw. It was still the same British people who came to his aid. He quickly sent a message to the British people, and they came to his aid. But the funny thing is, even the same British who have been trying, because they are still there, they are still the ones doing all of this, either directly or indirectly through their British instituted government. Even the British who did all of this still recognized, it is on record, they still recognize the position of the Alaafin as the head of Yoruba. As the head of Yoruba. As the head of Yoruba. Ile-Ife, until I've been out here for a very long time now, challenging these Ife-centric people, challenging all these professors. All this, like this one now, this old man who calls himself a professor. I don't know how some Yoruba, not all, I don't know how some Yoruba get their professorship. Probably from the same school where all these professors that we have on social media, end theirs. Let's not make this video too long. All right. It is very simple. What I'm saying is, with evidence, you see this Ile-Ife and the Ooni of Ife, they are not older. They are not older than the 18th century. So if they are not older than the 18th century, how come they are claiming that the whole world came from them? 18th century here, that is 17 something. You see the list of Ooni that you see online, especially on the website of the Ooni, they are fake, which is why you will not see dates. There are no dates. There are no dates. From the beginning till, I think, was the first one they dated, that's even in the 18th century. There are no dates because they did not exist. Those people never existed. How come, those who are historians or students of history, how many history books have you seen? How many history books prior to the 18th century? How many history books that was written that you see Ile-Ife mentioned? As far back as 15th century, that's 14 something, Benin had appeared in history book by the Europeans, of course not Africans, by the Europeans, 14 something. And later, I think around 16th century, other kingdoms like this Oyo, Ijebu, Ketu and the rest, they appeared in history books too. You will never find Ile-Ife. Ile-Ife, but it's never found. How come? As important and as great as Ile-Ife was, how come? Now, some are saying it was some stupid people, all these Ife-centric, they say it was inland or something. I don't know how to describe it. Maybe it was hidden. A great kingdom or empire, some say it's even empire. A great kingdom like that was hidden. These travelers, the business people, the kinds of people, the Europeans who came to Africa and wrote about kingdoms, they never found Ife. They did not even have to go there. See, this original Ife that I'm telling you, that is around the Niger-Benue confluence in today's Kogi state, as far back as 15th century, 14 something, it was mentioned in history book. It was mentioned in history book. Now, the people who wrote it, the Portuguese who wrote that book, did not actually visit Ife. They did not visit, yes, Ife Uhe. But something was said about it. Now, the ambassador from Benin to Portugal as at that time, yes, as at 15th century, Benin already had an embassy in Portugal as a country. Benin as a country, Benin Empire already had an embassy in Portugal. So the ambassador from Benin to Portugal, that is the person of Oonku of Ugoton, mentioned this Uhe and the Ogenenue to the king of Portugal at that time. That is to show how important, how relevant Uhe, though it was small, it was not big, but we saw it as a spiritual home. So it was mentioned to the king of Portugal and it was written in a history book. Where was Ile-Ife? You will never find any history book before the 18th century where they mention Ile-Ife. Well, I do not want this video to be too long. Everyone who knows the truth, I'm happy this is happening. So I hope that more or your people like Adedayo and the rest will come out now and begin to say the truth. And when you're saying the truth, show evidence, show receipt. That is what we do here. All these Ife-centric people, ask them their history. They don't know. They don't know. Ask them where they were before the 18th century. No record, nothing at all. And we also know what the history is like from that 18th century, which is part of which I just narrated. So how the Ooni of Ife automatically became an emperor or became a king from a priest that was imposed on the people that they never accepted? How he became an emperor, I don't know. You are now raising shoulders with the whole Alafin of Oyo. Was nothing more than a priest. But today, he carries himself as a king, which I actually have no problem with. You can wake up and become a king. I call myself, I'm the king of my household. I'm the king of my household. But know your boundaries. Know your boundaries.
Kíkàkà TV. Ọlọ́rọ̀ bá gbọ́ kí n lọ lọ́rọ̀ ó ṣe.